Ah! If this situation looks somehow familiar to you, keep watching, it may be an episode for you. In case it's not that interesting, leave us a comment below or send us an email what we can cover for you in the future. And next time, please somebody remind me what the stupid idea is to wear glasses and contact lenses at the same time. An iOS project setup and Xcode can be overwhelming, but there is no way around it. Even if you are writing an app in a powerful system abstraction like React Native, sooner or later you will need to open Xcode to change something. I made this episode so we can go together through the most common settings of an iOS project, something which probably 90% of all apps has to have adjusted. It is a lot of points, so you will find an index in the episode description which lets you quickly jump from topic to topic, an extra quality live feature for you. Without any further ado, let's do it! First things first. Before changing anything in our project, we have to make sure all the relevant changes will end up in the versioning control system, right? I'm using Git here. Of course, every IDE produces a lot of files which we don't want to track in the repository. Xcode by any means is an exception here. It produces a lot of files which we don't want to keep. Some of them are leftovers from building an application, we call them build artifacts. Some of them are cache data, others are breakpoint setups and so on. Long story short, things which don't belong in versioning control system. You can skip those files with a targeted gitignore. I recommend you get one from the GitHub. Just search for GitHub and gitignore and it should be the first hit. You want to get the Swift gitignore one. The list is pretty straightforward up to one point, CocoaPods. CocoaPods is a way how we manage dependencies for iOS and Mac projects. You can think about them as the equivalent of RubyGems or NPM. And this folder, the pods folder, can cause some discussions if it should be committed or not. If you keep your CocoaPods dependencies inside the repository, you will be able to start your app directly after git checkout. Otherwise, you first need to run pod install to download all the required code from the internet. At first sight, the first option looks safer, right? GitHub can be down or the library gets deleted from the surface of the earth. I will still recommend not to keep pods folder under the versioning system. First of all, those mentioned problems are rather sporadic, and CocoaPods can cause you a hell of merge conflicts if you're not careful and update them on several branches. If you need to be internet independent, you can host your own CocoaPods mirror. With this stuff sorted out, we can now open an Xcode project. I have one prepared here for this occasion. It's a fresh project. If you would now go and create one yourself, you will end up with an exact copy of mine. I've only added a gitignore file to it. You can open it via Finder, but I will open it from the command line. I'm opening a project file, but if you happen to use CocoaPods, you will open a workspace instead. As you can see, I'm using Xcode 8.3.2 version, which is the newest one at the point of the recording. Let's start from the top of the screen. At the very top, we have display name. I will start now the simulator so you can see where this comes to play. A part of the app icon, the display name is how a user will recognize your app. It will appear below the app icon on the home screen. An important note here, the name here and the name in the App Store can be different. You can put more words in the title for the App Store for the search engine optimization and keep a nice clean name on the home screen. Remember, on the home screen space is limited. You don't want your name to be cut. The App Store name you set in the iTunes Connect, and we will cover it in another video. There are 3 ways how to do it. All of them are valid options, it just depends on what you are trying to achieve. The first one, you basically click on display name and change it as you please. There is one gotcha here. Sometimes the simulator won't pick the new name. In this case, just reset the simulator and clean the project. The second way is to change it in the build settings. First, we have to restore the previous name, otherwise build settings won't override it. You can see it here, but if the name is not set when it's grayed out, there is a variable taking its place, and we will now change this variable via build settings. There are a lot of settings here, so instead of scrolling the long list, we will just search for the right entry. Type product name. there is only one match. You can double-click it here and change it. But what's the difference to the previous method, you may ask? You can set it by build configuration, which is pretty neat. We'll explain later what the configurations are and why they are important. If you click this arrow, you will see that we have two of them, debug and release. And you can change the name separately for each of them. The third way is very useful when you want to have different app names for each supported country. You can create the file where your app name will go and ask Xcode to localize it. First, let me add another supported language to our app so we can see the difference clear. With the project root selected, I do right-click on the Select New File. I scroll down to Resources and select String Files. And we have to call it info.plist.strings. The name is the key here, so don't mess it up. Now I will localize it, I will add it to French and English. And one important thing which will save you a lot of frustration, iOS will only use the special name for these languages. All other will get the default one. When we were changing the app name, we had to watch this very sad app icon. App icon is another thing which you will have to change for your app before the release. So we will tackle this as next. It's an easy and fast process, you can consider it as a break. What you have to do is to navigate to Assets Catalog and click on the app icon. Here we have placeholders for every needed image. Below you can see as well which size you will need for each placeholder. 60 points means 60 by 60 pixel rectangle. Of course, for a Retina display you have to double the size, and for the big iPhones and the plus ones you have to triple it. Let's run the application to see the effect. The next thing which every app has to have set is a bundle identifier. You can think about it as an internal name which helps iOS keep apps apart. I can demonstrate it by adding something at the end of the bundle ID and starting the simulator. See? Now we have a second application on our screen. I haven't changed anything else here. The same bundle ID means the same app. Don't worry though that somebody could find out your bundle ID and overwrite your app with a malicious version. Xcode will append a unique string in front of your bundle ID so the name clashes can't happen. And convention is to use a reverse URL notation for it. It means you reverse the order of your domain as you can see it here. .com goes to the beginning, followed by the domain name, app name, and any other information you want to add here. It is a good way to organize all your apps under one domain. For example, if you would have a special version for the iPad, you could append it at the end. We can change the bundle ID here, as you've seen it, but of course there is a better place to do it. If you guessed it is in the build settings, you are right. Search for bundle ID and click the arrow to be able to change it for each build configuration. A build configuration again. Yes, you are right. I owe you an explanation here. There are three parts of the story: target, build configuration, and schemas. Let's start with the most simple one, a target. It is easier to remember what a target is when you think about them as one target equals one app. And as we learned before, every app has to have a unique bundle identifier. See how everything comes nicely together now? Every target has build settings, which it gets from the project. As you can see, we have two default ones here, but you can add as many as you want. We've seen before that we can specify a different bundle identifier for each of those configurations. Usually, we will leverage this for preparing separate builds for environments like staging or sandbox. When I go to the bundle identifier settings, I can change it now for sandbox as well. You can think about build configurations as sets of build settings. Another common use cases are storing API keys different for different environments, excluding or including frameworks, or changing app names so we actually can see what we are testing on the home screen. Okay, now the last bit, schemas. Xcode will create one per target. That's why we have only one here. If you click on edit, you will see what is inside. Basically, schemas tells you what should happen when you execute product actions like run, test, profile, analyze, and archive. As you can see here, if you press run, the app will be built using debug build configuration. So if you want to see how your app behaves with release configuration, as the end user would see it, you can change it here. Changing back and forth can get repetitive. So to speed up the process, you can create your own schemas. You go to Manage Schemas, click on Duplicate, and here you have it. Schemas are not shared implicitly. You have to click on Shared to push it to the repository. You can set deployment target here and base SDK here. But what's the difference? Deployment target specifies the lowest supported iOS version. Base SDK will specify what is the newest framework version you can use. Base SDK has to be equal or higher to deployment target. Xcode by default sets base SDK to the newest one, and you should leave it that way. How to set deployment target? I would say it is a business decision, and I would recommend to support current and previous version of iOS. iOS users tend to update operating system rather regularly, so have a look at public available data about update progress and judge it for yourself. Privacy statements are tags which are shown to user when your app wants to access privacy concerned APIs, like geolocation, access to camera, photo albums, and others. You can set it in the plist. For example, I want to access user photo album. You can scroll for the name. You can see the other ones you can set, but this won't be translated. Everybody will see the same text. However, we already know from the app name settings what to do about it. We can go here, set it via a key called NS Photo Library Usage Description. You will have to Google to find the other names. And let me add some image picker code so we can see the text appearing in the simulator. Now I will start simulator, and here it is. Do you feel a little bit more secure right now? Yes? I take it as yes, great. Are you gonna remember everything from this episode? I thought so. Don't worry, if you subscribe, in the next episode I will show you how to do all of this directly from your terminal without opening even the Xcode. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed it, leave us a like, share it with your friends. Till the next time, stay awesome. Bye!